Hi, greetings, fellow Slayers, and welcome to Buffyverse June 2025. Hope you like when I hear I do. I definitely really like it. So this month we're going to be taking a look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 5. So let's kick things off with the first episode of Season 5, Buffy vs. Dracula. Unable to sleep, Buffy goes out to patrol the cemetery. After stalking a vampire, she returns to bed with Riley. On a sunny day, Buffy and Riley play catch at the beach. Xander tries to light the barbecue, and Willow helps him with a fire spell. However, a storm suddenly breaks and they frantically gather up their belongings. Elsewhere, two men deliver a large crate filled with dirt to a mansion. When they drop it, a clawed hand breaks through the wood and attacks one of the men. Giles has Willow's skinning books so they can be resources for the gang to use. He confides to her that he's going back to England because it seems he's no longer needed by Buffy nor the Scoobies. "Aw, don't go, Giles. We love you." Buffy has dinner with her mother, but the meal ends quickly by announcing she's going out to patrol. Joyce remarks that she'll have to get used to the house being empty and quiet again. In a cemetery, Buffy encounters a vampire who condenses from a mist and introduces himself as Dracula. She's flattered when he tells her she is known throughout the world, but is discomfited when he says her power is rooted in darkness. When she tries to stake the legendary vampire, he disappears. Xander will arrive to see Dracula before he turns into a bat and flies away. In Giles' apartment, Buffy, Willow, and Anya discuss how amazing Dracula is, and Riley, Xander, and Tara express their jealousy towards the Count. Willow makes an attempt to attract attention to Giles and his usefulness, but the rest seem oblivious to the subtext. As Xander is walking home, he encounters Dracula. Using hypnotic charms and the promises of immortality, the vampire persuades Xander to be his emissary and lure the Slayer to him. Riley goes to Spike to learn about Dracula. Spike warns him that, although Dracula is mostly shown tricks, he is too dangerous for Riley to take on alone. Buffy awakens to find Dracula in her bedroom. She's helpless against his powers and unable to stop him from biting and drinking from her. Upon waking the next morning, Buffy looks in the mirror and sees the puncture marks on her neck. She hides them with a scarf. Back in Giles' apartment, the gang discuss their plan of attack. After hearing about Dracula's relationship with his prey, Buffy leaves abruptly. Riley follows her and takes off her scarf, the marks on her neck revealing to the Scoobies that she's been in Dracula's thrall. Meanwhile, Xander has a strange hunger for spiders and attempts to defend the Dark Master to his friends. Xander volunteers to help Buffy stay safely at his place. Willow and Tara use magic to protect the Summers residents, and Giles and Riley go after Dracula. In Xander's basement, Anya complains about not going after Dracula herself. Xander locks her in the closet and takes the willing Slayer to his master. Facing Dracula alone, Buffy tries to take control and stake him, but easily makes her put the stake down. Meanwhile, Riley and Giles discover the castle, marking how they never noticed it before, and enter carefully. Dracula talks to Buffy of all the things he will teach her about being a Slayer while she struggles to resist him. Xander tries to stop Riley from going after Dracula, but Riley quickly knocks him out. Giles finds himself victim to the three sisters, who effectively keep him distracted. Dracula offers his blood to Buffy, and she hesitantly takes a drink. A flash of memories allows Buffy to break his control over her. Riley rescues Giles from the sister vampires, and they go after Buffy. Buffy and Dracula fight throughout the room until she finally stakes him. Xander complains about being the one who had to eat spiders. After they leave, Dracula comes back from the dust. Buffy stakes him again, knowing he would come back. Dracula attempts to reform again, but Buffy reminds him that she is standing right there. He slips away in his mist form. In Giles' apartment, he prepares to tell Buffy about his plans to leave, but she says she wants to talk to him as well. Buffy tells Giles that he hasn't been her watcher for a while, but she's wondering about the origin and meaning of her power since they called the first Slayer. Wanting to learn about her power and other Slayers, Buffy asks Giles to be her watcher again, to train and teach her so she can be better. Pleased, Giles doesn't tell her about his previous plans of leaving Sunnydale. Yay! Buffy comes home and announces to her mom that she's going to the movies with Riley. When she enters her room, she finds a young girl and asks what she is doing there. Joyce tells Buffy that she should take her sister with her if she goes out. In annoyance, Buffy and the girl call out, "Mom!" Dun dun dun. So, man, let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. This episode contains our tradition in the show Buffy season premieres, beginning with a scene in a cemetery. Riley retains the scar he got in Primeval after removing the behavior modifier from its chest. The Scooby Gang go to the beach, appearing for the second time after Go Fish. Dracula says Buffy is a renowned killer. In Bad Girls, Buffy told Faith that being a slayer is not the same as being a killer. In this year's Girl, Faith in Buffy's body said, "I'm not a killer, I'm a slayer." In Restless, Buffy dreamed Riley and called her a killer, and in The Gift, Buffy will conclude that a slayer really is just a killer after all, until she figures out that death is her gift. Dracula appears for the first time, to eventually become a reluctant ally of the Scooby Gang, mainly due to the connection he forms with Xander this episode, as will be seen in Wolves at the Gate Part 1 and New Rules Part 2. When questioning Dracula's identity, Buffy mentions having encountered vampires who name themselves after Anne Rice's vampire character Lestat. This is the first indication that some vampires appreciate Rice's perspectives of vampirism. In contrast, Schoolhart and Darla depicted some vampires as having contempt for Rice's concepts. Xander wonders if Dracula is Frankenstein, the creature Angels encounters in the dubious canon story Angel vs. Frankenstein. In I, Robot, You, Jane had books for memory scan, and she teased Charles would soon join the 20th century with 3 whole years to spare. In this episode, Justice will scan his personal collection for 3 months before the end of the century. Dracula takes Xander under his thrall again in Antique and New Rules Part 3. Spike mentions Dracula owing him 11 pounds, which explained the dubious canon story Spike vs. Dracula Part 1. Dracula is the third vampire to drink from Buffy. She was previously admitted by 2 other well-known vampires, the Master and Prophecy Girl and Angel in Graduation Day Part 2. Spike will drink from Buffy next in Desperate Times, and Willow comments she knew Buffy was bitten once again from the moment she saw her scarf, in reference to Buffy's behavior in this episode. Riley gets jealous of Dracula biting Buffy, and will talk to her about his desire to eat the Scorpion into the woods. Xander says that blood is life when talking about Dracula, which is later repeated by Spike. This ties into an ongoing theme regarding blood within the season. Tasting Dracula's blood assures Buffy of her role, the shared blood between her and her sister, and the key to saving her. Joyce appears to be unaware that Tara and Willow are a couple, remarking to them that she feels like giving up on men altogether. In the next episode, Joyce will appear to know about their relationship. Dracula's revelation of the inherent darkness of the nature of the Slayer foreshadows the demonic origin of the Slayer lineage, and so will be revealed in Get It Done. Dracula says to Buffy, "You think you know what you are, what's to come. You haven't even begun." Echoing the words Buffy dreamed of Tara telling her in Restless. Xander refers to getting funny syphilis, which occurred in pangs. Justin prepares to leave Sunnydale, but changes his mind due to Buffy asking him to be her watcher once again. At Tabula Rasa, he will actually leave for England. Buffy turns to Giles to dig into her calling's past, notably deepening her study on past layers in Fool for Love. This marks the first appearance of Dawn, Buffy's younger sister, who will continue to be featured in every remaining episode and will be a very important arc to the show. Her true nature will eventually be revealed in No Place Like Home. When Buffy complained about Faith in Faith, Hope, and Trick, Joyce replied, "It's probably better that you were an only child." This changed with Dawn's appearance in this episode. Despite only appearing after Dracula already left town, Dawn will mention her memories of the event in New Rules Part 3. So now let's take a look at some behind-the-scenes stuff with the production. Let's take a look at some production notes regarding this episode. The vampire who's going to show Buffy a darker side of herself was originally envisioned as just another vampire who rode a horse. It was so cool, says writer Marty Nixon. I kept saying Dracula. Just who was like, why not Dracula? Nobody owns Dracula. He's public domain. Marty Knox. Knox says the scene in which Dracula implies that Buffy would make an amazing vampire thematically resonates with questions of identity with which Buffy struggles throughout season 5. Michelle Wayman and Melissa Barker replaced Sophia Crawford as Sarah Michelle's stunt double from this episode on. Emma Caulfield is added to the opening credits beginning with this episode. Emma Brents is now credited with as Tara under her name. The episode includes many aspects from the mythology featured in Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, such as Dracula traveling in a casket full of soil, with shape-shifting and hypnotic abilities. Xander studying insects similar to Dracula's servant Renfield and the three brides of Dracula. H.G. Gage, who plays mover number 1 in this episode, also portrays Mordor the Bentback in the Angel episode Judgment. Scott Burman portrays mover number 2 in this episode and the toy vendor in the Angel episode Blind Date. The first of three sisters, played by Jennifer Slimko, also portrayed the unidentified Romanian woman in 5x5. This episode marks Michelle Trachtenberg's first appearance in the series. R.I.P. Now let's take a look at some pop culture references. Buffy mentions vampires calling themselves Lestat de Lioncourt, the fictional character from the Vampire Chronicles novel series. Buffy says the title Killer sounds like she paints clowns, a reference to serial killer John Wayne Gacy, known as the Killer Clown, who took the hobby of painting clowns during his time in prison. Xander references the vampire Count Von Count from the children's show Sesame Street. Xander warns that Dracula's Frankenstein, referring to the title character of the 1818 horror novel Frankenstein. Will tells Giles to call her the Computer Whisperer, a reference to the 1998 movie The Horse Whisperer. And now finally, let's look at some goofs. After Buffy's been by Dracula, it cuts to day outside of Buffy's house, where the actual address of 1313 can be seen instead of Buffy's address 1630, which has been pointed out / seen in several episodes. When Buffy's about Riley, in the close-up shot of Buffy's head, you can see Riley's elbow near the upper left corner. But when it changes to a meeting close-up shot with both Buffy and Riley, you can see that Riley's arm is bent with his elbow under Buffy's arm. A water bottle is visible on the mantel in Dracula's mansion, adjacent to more Dracula appropriate urns and candles. The makeup uses Dracula's arm to make it appear paler is smeared on Buffy's lips after she drinks his blood. Oh boy. So overall, as the first episode of Season 5, it's just really damn good, and hey, we got to see Buffy go up against Dracula, so that's pretty cool as well. So, yeah. So overall, I give Buffy vs. Dracula 4 vampire steaks out of 5. When you tune in to the next episode, Real Me. So, until then, remember everyone, here endeth the lesson.